In the previous episode of North by Northeast, we spoke of continuing our interviews with Mayor Tom Knapp of KC, as well as Mike and Jeff Wandler from L&H Industrial. We will have the continuation of those interviews in the next episode. This episode, we are taking a break from our regular format to do something special. Tuesday, November 11th, 2014 is Veterans Day, a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. In Campbell County, we are fortunate to have a place that honors our veterans every day. In this episode, we will get a look at Lasting Legacy Park and the Veterans Memorial. We will also take a trip to the Wyoming Army National Guard Armory in Gillette and learn about the Esgr program. And now, North by Northeast. Gillette Public Access Television presents North by Northeast, a news magazine about Northeast Wyoming.
We got started in the early 1990s, 1990 to be exact, when we were approached by the Wyoming Centennial Committee organization that was located here in Gillette about creating a park to recognize some historical features of our community. And Marcia Wright was the leader of that group, along with Lita Tanner and Mabel Jones, and they had some money left over from the Centennial celebration that they wanted to put toward this park. We didn't really, in talking with them in 1990, they had an idea. They approached Mike McDeal from the county, and Mike McDeal was the county engineer, and Mike was a member of my Kiwanis Club, and so he enlisted volunteers from the Kiwanis Club to meet with the Centennial Committee to talk about this idea. And after talking, we decided to form a committee to build a park to honor, some of the legacies of our community. And that's how it started. In 1990, we did work with the county and the city who supported us in acquiring land. Even the school district was involved. We traded land that was the county owned near the Rockpile Center with the school district for that property north of the recreation center, the site that you now see as Lasting Legacy Park. So we got that site. The county and the city gave us some funding to contract with an engineering firm. It was TSP here locally in Gillette. And our committee, mostly made up of Kiwanians, some people from the city parks and engineering, and people from the county parks and engineering, and the Centennial Committee. And we had a group of about 16 originally, pared it down to about 8 going forward. And we came up with a plan, worked with the city and the county on this plan, and started raising money. Budget for Lasting Legacy Park was a little over $1 million. Half of it was funded by the city and county, and we raised the other half to put in what you see today. And it included a war memorial that was brought forward by a Veterans Committee that approached us in 1993, wanting to build this memorial. At the same time, I believe in 1993 also, the Gillette Rotary Club wanted to put a feature in the park, and a water feature that we had in our master plan, and that was started also in that same time frame. And so what you see today was a culmination of organizations, city, county, the general public coming together to create a community park in the center of our community that serves as a focal point for a lot of activity. for our community, and something that I know we're all very proud of. The Veterans Memorial, we had wanted to recognize veterans. In fact, one of the first features in the park was recognition of Manuel de Villa, who lost his life in the Gulf War. And I think that putting that memorial in the park got the veterans involved to, hey, let's make something bigger than that to honor our veterans. And we work with them to build something that you see today, which is just fantastic.
Coming up on North by Northeast, you will learn about the Wyoming National Guard Armory in Gillette.
Now that we have some of the history behind Lasting Legacy Park, let's take a look at the continuing evolution of the memorial.
Several years ago, about 4 or 5 now, Mayor's Art Council, which DB was on at that time, brought in a piece from Ben Foster, United We Stand. And the city and the county saw it and were just absolutely blown away. They said, that's Gillette, Wyoming. And they both were looking at possibly buying it. And then they tried to look and see if they could do it together. And then the ideas were flying all over the place at that point in time. And we said, really, this should be a community project. And it came out that from Gary Wolberg called me or came into my office and he sat down and he said, what about doing bricks for our veterans? And I said, whoop, there's a way to get to buying the United We Stand and making it a community project. So I ran that out, the idea out and into the community, and I was getting enormous feedback about emails saying, well, we want to participate. And in that same time, DB got a hold of me. She had seen it or heard about it and said, I'm already doing something. And I said, well, okay. And then she said, you got to come out to Conestoga School, which I did. And I'll let DB take what she did out there, which was really a cool idea. And this is the kind of the idea she was trying to do, is get something that we could do in Gillette, but didn't have the avenue to get there. So why don't you talk about what you had done out there at the school years earlier?
We started with the idea of honoring veterans from our students and our faculty. And we developed what became known as the Hallway of Heroes. And around our library, which is in a big U shape, you could buy a plaque that had the name of your veteran and anything you wanted to put on it in 3 lines. And then we also, the school district allowed us to drill holes around in the railing, and then we put American flags by all of the plaques. And it's still an ongoing project out at Conestoga. And I said, my original idea was I wanted something in Gillette, but I didn't know how to do something that big. So I started with Richard Landreth, actually. He's a veteran, his help out at Conestoga. And we did our Hallway of Heroes, and you came to see it, and then we took that idea on into Bricks for Vets.
Yeah, so the idea came out from the community, and then I started getting calls and seeing the different things that other citizens had done, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. This town has been behind veterans as long as I've lived here in the 20-some years. And it makes me very proud, because I'm a Vietnam vet, and I can tell you when I came back, I wasn't proud. I was pretty dismayed, and I threw my uniform up in the attic, and that's where it was. But this community it makes all our veterans that live here very, very proud. And this was just another way to show our appreciation to the veterans. And we already had the wall, so when Gary came in, Wahlberg came in, and he said, where are we going to put the bricks? And I said, there's only one place. And that idea actually started from one of the county commissioners said that he thought the only place for the statues to go is down at Lasting Legacy Park. And that was Roy Edwards. And during one of our meetings, and I said, that's a great idea. So with that idea and some of the things that the citizens have come back and some of the memorials I've seen around town, there's several others, but this one really was the right idea. And so then I got a hold of Brian Purnell, and he was the Legion commander, and thought I'd bring in the VFW and the Legion, which I would belong to both, And that's when we formed a first meeting was over at the Sheriff's Department. And that's when Brian helped, and Donnell Nichols got in there, and and DB and Gary, we didn't care. Citizens were part of this community, are part of this whole committee. And it's just taken off from there. And Brian, why did you see it was a good idea, I guess?
Well, I mean, you know, we needed more recognition for the veterans in our community, I thought, and this is one way to do it. They had talked about putting the bricks on the ground, and then we come up with this idea through DV with putting them up to where you don't step on them and the ground don't heave. So we decided to build pedestals for them, and then also for the statues, and it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, and that was quite a process, because every committee member really had great ideas. We gelled them together, worked on it. We did not want it on the ground, because if you go in Lasting Legacy Park, there is some remnants of somebody trying to do that back in the 90s and 80s, and the bricks are all broke and they're heaved up. And we said, no, we don't want that. We want to do it in granite. We want to put it on a pedestal. And the ideas just kept flowing, and of course, all those ideas, dollars.
Yeah.
And that was scaring us about 4 or 5, where we're going to get all the money. And we came up with the price of the bricks, which now, once we formed that 5 years ago almost, we came up with $110 for a 4x8 brick and $250 for an 8x8 brick. And put a lot of time and effort in how the bricks are going to lay out. Now, because 4 or 5 years later, we have the Gillette Wild hockey team gave us a chunk of money that they raised last year of about $6,000 that we put into a fund to buy for veterans that can't afford a brick, or a fallen veteran that the family can't afford a brick, at the funeral homes or at the hospice house. This thing has been evolving in the last 4 years to a really unique type aspect that is going to continue for many, many years. So we just recently, in fact, our meeting last night, decided that we're not going to charge that extra $10. So it's either going to be $100 a brick, and for the $250 brick, which we were keeping that $10 and that $50, putting it aside to buy bricks for people that couldn't afford it. Now we're going to drop the 10 and the 50 because we have that fund. Now they're going to be $100 for the 4x8 and $200 for the 8x8, which I think is a great idea. We looked at it at the beginning also on where to put it, how to put it. I know that Ben Foster's piece is such a unique piece, and I'd like to have DB go a little further than that, because she was on the Mayor Art Council, and kind of explain what that piece is and what it was, because it was about 100, and I thought it was 120. I think it was only about 105 or 106 that was the original price, but Ben dropped it down to 60,000, and I'll let you talk about the piece a little bit.
The piece is called United We Stand, and it's on 4 different pedestals. It's a family with the grandparents and the children and the mother and daddy. And they are all standing. We've got them in a semicircle, looking with their hand over their heart, saluting the American flag that we have on our war memorial. It just signified what we feel like the Powder River Basin and Gillette feel about their veterans and the people who have served in the armed forces in our community. The war memorial that is originally there was for fallen vets, and we wanted something to recognize all veterans that have served, and that was the premise. That was our baseline for our Bricks for Vets. And when we say bricks, they're not really bricks. We started with a brick idea, but they've ended up being marble plaques that are engraved on permanently. So we say Bricks for Vets, but we're marble plaques for vets. Very, very nice looking. So the pedestal that the statues are on, the pedestal part is where we put the plaques all around. And we have lots of room left for more plaques. We have lots of vets that we know that we haven't gotten their names on yet. And that's our emphasis now. Let's get all the vets in the Powder River Basin on a plaque there at Lasting Legacy Park.
So we have people buying bricks that'll probably have 9 names on it. You could do that. And they are from all over the country. It's a family brick, and it puts all their uncles and aunts, and they could be from anywhere. And then they just put the service and the flag on it, and it's actually a piece of granite we get from Home Depot. They donate, we got an allocation every quarter. And Don and Donnell Nichols lasers those for us and do just a brilliant job. It's really nice. It's going to be longevity, long lasting. And again, Ben Foster didn't stop just there, because we went out and because we were having funding problems at the beginning, of course. We're all standing around how we're going to fund this. We got great ideas, but funding is always an issue. So we went out and did fundraisers. We did parades, but boxes all over town in different places, like City Hall or wherever, for people to donate. They could buy a brick, of course. People just actually wrote us checks to help us. Then we went out and went out for grants. That was an interesting process. I did 2 of them and got both of them. And the last one was with the Martin Keating Foundation, who has an outpatient here and in Sheridan. Does a great job for our veterans, the Martin Keating Foundation. And they gave us $30,000, but it's matching $30,000. So we went in front of the county commissioners and the city council, and they gave us matching dollars of $15,000 each to match that, so we could pay for United We Stand. Now, United We Stand is paid for, but you still got to put up the pedestals. You still got to do all the concrete. The concrete in that area had never had rebar in it. So it was caving and falling and sagging. So we went in and replaced all that, which was a big chunk of money, where the contractors came in and helped us there. They donated their time, materials, and labor, reduced labor cost, which helped us a lot. And the lighting was just $20,000 just to put the lighting into the concrete. That's just one number alone. And Mickey Schulberger, who is one of our county commissioners, donated his time and effort to put design and help put the pedestals in. We had to have an engineering study. We've been through a lot. We had to get into be a nonprofit. So we had to, again, Brian and myself went, and you can go over how we got to the American Legion.
Went through the American Legion, and they have a tax-free number, and so we went to them and asked, if they would allow us to use it. So we are part of the American Legion as a tax-free entity. So and that helped us a lot.
If we didn't have that, we couldn't have gotten the grants.
Right.
You have to be a nonprofit.
And it costs, I think it's pretty spendy to get a tax-free number.
And time
consuming if you do it on your own. So we use the Legion, and we want to thank them for that.
So this whole puzzle is a lot of parts that get to where we are today. And when you go down and look at what we have, I think it's one of the nicest Veterans Park in the state of Wyoming. And it's because of our committee and the volunteerism of the community and our government officials who stepped right in and helped us all the way through. This couldn't happen without the whole community behind it.
Here's a look at this week's community calendar. Basics Live will be at the Camplex in Gillette on November 18th at 7 p.m. Basics is a Scandinavian 6-piece vocal group that takes the a cappella vocal genre to new heights. Check it out. Then there will be the Country Christmas Bazaar on Friday, November 21st, starting at 5 p.m. and all day Saturday at the Best Western Sheridan Center in Sheridan. For more information, call 307-672-8594. There will also be square dancing at Newcastle Elementary School on Friday, November 21st at 7:30 p.m. Later on North by Northeast, we speak with Gina Monk about the employer support of the Guard and Reserve. This week's featured pets come to us from the City County Animal Shelter in Gillette. We have Spook, a 5-month-old neutered male. He has had hip surgery and will need a quiet home to rest and have physical therapy. His injury does not slow him down. We also have NECA, a 1-year-old male neutered Akita mix. To adopt either of these pets or for more information, you can contact the shelter at 307-686-5249, or you can visit petfinder.com and please adopt a pet.
Hi, we are here at one of the places in Gillette that maybe most people don't even know exist. We're at an armory here in Gillette, Wyoming, and I'm here with Sergeant First Class Sam Cates. And Sergeant, why don't you let us know what's here in the, just off of the Gurley Avenue Bridge here in Gillette?
So this is the Wyoming Army National Guard Armory. We have about 86 people that are assigned to this unit. We're rockets, field artillery. The location is 811 East Laramie Street, just right, like he said, right outside the, or just on the other side of the Over Gurley Pass, and also right behind the Aquatic Center.
Excellent. So you mentioned that you're a field artillery unit here. Why don't you explain to us a little bit of what that is?
Field artillery is combat arms for the affiliation with the United States Army. We have what we call rockets. Basically, we shoot rockets in the direction that our Fire Direction Center tells us to, basically to kill the bad guys.
Very effective, isn't it?
It is. It's most accurate field artillery system we got right now.
Excellent. And so you are a part of course, a larger unit here at part of the Wyoming National Guard. What other units are you affiliated with?
So our headquarters is based out of Sheridan, Wyoming, the 2300 Field Artillery. We have sister units in Lander, Worland, Powell, and Lovell.
Okay. And can you give us a little bit of the history of the Wyoming Army National Guard?
So the history of the Wyoming Army National Guard, Gillette was actually established as Field Artillery Unit in 1949. We've gone through several different units. We are 2300 now, alphabetic 2300, but we were alphabetic first of the 49th Field Artillery. We were engineers, we were cavalry, we were armored. We got called up to deployment for the Berlin crisis, and basically just made it to Fort Lewis, Washington, got stand down. And then we didn't really have any deployments until our Iraq War. This unit deployed 3 times. Half our unit went 1 year, the other half the next year, and then the whole unit deployed in 2008 and 2009.
All right, excellent. And no, you do get called up, sent overseas. What are some of the things that you do in state?
So in the state, we still train to go do those federal missions, but we also have hometown and state missions that we are involved in. Just recently, we send teams out to Saratoga for flooding. Twice we did that. And we are called upon for help with forest fires and natural disasters such as i.e. a tornado and fires and effects like that. We also can be called through the governor's assistance through other governors to assist in outside Wyoming.
Okay. So I mean, like down in Denver when they had their big flooding that they had a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now you mentioned, I think you said there were 86 members of the unit here.
Yes.
And no, they're not all native from Gillette, are they? Or living in Gillette? Where are they from? Where do they come from?
The furthest person that we got lives up in Phillipsburg, Montana, which is up by Helena. And we got people from our unit that live in Colorado. We got a person that lives in Utah. So we got several people that live outside, Casper, Cheyenne, Sheridan. The way the promotion system works, you take a promotion where there's one available. So sometimes it has them to travel.
Okay. And how many full-time members are here located at this facility?
There's 5 full-time members. There's myself. I'm the readiness NCO for the unit. I have a training NCO, which is Staff Sergeant Rychecki, a supply NCO, which is Staff Sergeant Pangus. We have 2 recruiters, Sergeant First Class Hansen and Sergeant Young.
And how does recruiting go here in Gillette, especially during this time where we're on the cusp of a boom? How is that going for you guys here locally?
Well, Sergeant Hansen would probably give you more information on that because he talks to more people than I know of, because normally I only know of the people that really come into our unit. But I don't think he's having a problem. Sergeant Hansen handles the Campbell County area, and Sergeant Young handles like Crook and Weston County. So I think together between those two, it's not too bad.
Oh, good to hear. Now, we're going to take a walk outside here in a couple of minutes. Can you describe some of the equipment that we're going to look at?
So we'll look at the what we call a rocket launcher. A HIMARS is what it is. We have some FDC vehicles, which are shelters mounted on Humvees. We have ammo resupply vehicles and just regular Humvees.
Okay. And when you guys go out on maneuvers, do you do that right here in town? Do you go down to Guernsey?
Unfortunately, we
or-
don't really have a place in town because of the space that we need. So a lot of our maneuvers are done in Guernsey.
Okay.
We do have a training area up in Sheridan. And then occasionally, if it's just some training that we need to do that doesn't involve the whole big area, we can go up to the Weston recreational area.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Sergeant, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, I want to say that not only do, so the unit provides for the soldiers that are obviously in our unit, but we also have the ability to provide for soldiers not in our unit, National Guard soldiers, to get them point of contacts and stuff of their units and where they need to talk to. Veterans that are no longer in but served in the Wyoming Guard, we have ability to get their records, tag records is what we call them, their archive records down in Cheyenne. And if veterans that weren't in the National Guard, but maybe they served in the Army, the Air Force, Navy, and Marines, if they need assistance, they can come in here and we can get point of contacts. We also have a Family Assistance Center person here, which is her name is Cindy, and she basically covers all the branches of the military and assists in what they would possibly need, whether it's financial, some counseling, whatever, and she can set them in the right direction.
Excellent. So there are a lot of services here besides just the soldiers that are part of this unit.
Yes,
so
sir.
once again, it's right across the Early Overpass on the north side by the Aquatic Center. So if you need to talk to these guys, they're right there. So.
And you can contact us. Our phone number is 307-682-3592. Any of the extensions, you can just press any of them and they'll get one of us.
Perfect. Sergeant, thank you very much for joining us
No problem. Thank you.
We're here in the studio with Gina Monk, and Gina is with the ESGR. I'm going to let Gina explain exactly what the ESGR is.
Okay, ESGR stands for Employer Support to the Guard and Reservists. It's a Department of Defense or program that was designed or created in 1972, and it's designed to promote a culture where all American employers value the service of their employees.
Okay, and so it has 2 or 3 different main portions of it. I mean, one of them is to help with the guards and reservists in terms of employment, correct?
Right, and there's also an ombudsman service, which is, because there are certain USERA laws that apply. If you're in the military and you're an employee, then there are certain rules that are rights that you have as that employee. And then it's also for the employer to know what to expect from his employee if they're going to be deployed or for their military service on the weekends that they have to do and what those rules are too.
Okay, so could you give us an example? What would happen, say, should an employee be called up to active duty?
Yeah, basically, the rules state basically that if you're an employee, that it's like you're not left. So all the rights that you would get while you're there, I would get while I'm gone. So that includes like health insurance, time off, all those benefits you continue to receive, and that's kind of how a basic way to think of that. So, and in Campbell County, we're pretty lucky. Most of the employers are very supportive of their military personnel, and we don't have that many issues. Or even the whole state of Wyoming is we have not very many calls or problems in that area.
How about for an employer? I mean, should an employee be called out? What kind of support do you provide to employers?
Well, I usually do like briefings or I haven't personally, but ESGR does briefings, and then military personnel can nominate their employers for awards and stuff. And there's also national awards, which is a big deal to win. I mean, it's a patriotic type award, Patriot Award. And I usually will go after they've been nominated for that award, I will go present the awards, and we have like little functions, sometimes we surprise the employer, and most of them are very, I don't know what the word is, pleased that they get those. I mean, they're very, it's a good thing that what they're doing, so.
Now, you yourself are not a member of our military, or haven't
No,
been, but
no.
how did you get involved with the ESGR?
My sister is a lieutenant colonel in the Air National Guard based out of Cheyenne, and she's been in the military for over 20 years. So it was just kind of my way to help support her and other military, because I really believe, it's what this country, they protect us basically in so many areas that we don't even realize. And they give a lot up to do that. They call them weekend warriors sometimes, but they give a lot up. So it's nice to know when they're deployed that their families are taken care of, because some of them, are gone for, a year at a time, and you just kind of pick up and leave, but your life here is still going on. So that's a good way that for me to say, thank you for doing that for people like my sister and other people that I know that are in the military. So that was my way to contribute, I guess.
Very nice. And you are on a volunteer basis, is that correct?
Right, volunteer. Yep, I volunteer all my services. So, and then that's counted. They send all my volunteer hours at a federal level, and so they know how much time we put in and what a valuable service it is.
Okay, and if somebody requires the support of the ESGR, how do they get a hold of you?
Wyoming has a ESGR site, and there's a federal one too. And then my base station, if you will, is based out of Cheyenne. So if I don't know an answer or can't help somebody, then I would refer them down to Cheyenne to our main office, and then they can usually take it from there.
All right. Gina, is there anything else that you would like to add today?
I can't think of anything. It's been a pleasure interviewing with you, and I'm glad that it's a great program, and I'm glad to be here and share with it and get the word out about ESGR. So.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today.
All right. Thank you.